Hi, my name is Jessica Lewis, and today we're going to be performing AASHTO T84 or ASTM C128, the relative density or specific gravity of fine aggregates. The relative density can be defined as the mass of an aggregate over the mass of water equal to the volume of the aggregate particles. So, we're going to start with our sample. Our aggregate of choice is sand, and we're going to start by measuring 1,000 grams. Tear our scale. So we need to consider the source of our sample. We got this sample from MMC in its natural condition, so we need to account for the moisture that's already in the sample. So I'm going to measure out about 1.2 kilograms of our sample to account for the moisture loss when we put it in the oven. Next, you want to take it, lay it on a flat pan. Get a nice even distribution. Like that. And now we're going to place our sample in an oven overnight. So now we're at our oven set to 230 degrees Fahrenheit or 110 degrees Celsius, and we're going to place overnight. Once the appropriate amount of time has passed, you should have this, a very dry sample of approximately 1,000 grams. So now we want to take a bowl and we want to measure out 500 grams of this dry sample. Let's not forget to tear the scale. Now we're going to place our sample in the flat pan that we intend to use. And now I'm going to saturate the sample using a squeeze bottle. At this point, you want a little bit of excess water that we're going to decant later. Mix our sample. Now that our sample is saturated, we're gonna let it sit overnight for 24 hours. Now that 24 hours has passed, we're gonna drain our sample, making sure not to lose any particles. So now that we've drained our sample, I'm going to take this heat gun and run a warm stream of air over our sample. Our goal here is not to completely dry the sample, but we want to get rid of all the visible moisture in our sample. So now that we've dried our sample, we're going to take our mold, place it in the middle of our pan, and we're going to fill it to overflowing. Now we take our, hold it approximately 5 millimeters above our sample, and we're going to lightly drop 25 times. Now when we remove the mold, if the sample holds its shape, that means there's too much moisture still present in our sample. We want it to slump slightly, but not completely. So we're going to dry and try again. sample is visually getting close to the condition that we want it at, so I'm going to use a low setting on the heat gun for these heating trays. Now that our sample has slumped slightly, we have reached a saturated surface dry condition, also known as SSD. We can now begin the second part of our test method. So now we're going to take our pycnometer and fill to approximately 1 inch. We're now going to carefully place the sample inside of the pycnometer. We're going to use the water bottle to get rid of any leftover particles. Now that our water is filled to approximately 1 inch below the neck, we're going to take the pycnometer, hold it at a slant angle, and we're going to agitate to get all of the air bubbles out of our sample. Now we're going to fill our pygnometer. Now we're going to weigh the pygnometer and all of its contents. So now we're going to empty our pygnometer into our pan. And now again, we're going to drain our sample, making sure not to lose any particle. And now we're going to place our sample, set again to 230 degrees Fahrenheit or 110 degrees Celsius overnight.